The worst kid ever? Great, it's yet another book about Karen.
Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review.
This book was written by Nola Thacker. The Papadakis are getting a foster child. Everyone's excited, and Kristy spies on them as the kid is dropped off. The kid has a unique way of getting luggage out of the car.
The kid wheeled around and marched back toward the car. When he reached the front fender, he kept right on marching, straight over the hood of the car, up the windshield, and across the roof.
The kid then swings off the car roof into the back seat. I think the foster kid is secretly Spider-Man. In the subplot, the middle school is doing an auction to raise money for new computers. Kristy gets one of her trademark great ideas. Why don't they donate to the auction? That's an obvious idea, not a great idea, but okay. All the girls suggest a donation, which relates to their singular personality trait. And they agree that they'll be happy as long as their donation is better than cookies. Mean old Cookie! Raising money for charity is nice and all that, but rubbing it in Cookie's face is much better. So they all write to celebrities in hopes of getting fancy donations. The next chapter, Kristy is babysitting for Karen and her friends. Karen is in pretty much every chapter in this book, even though she only visits twice a month. So either we're ignoring that rule, or there's an unspoken 2-week gap in between every chapter, in which case this book covers several months. The Papadakis come over with the foster kid, who is Louisa McNally. She dresses like a boy and insists on being called Lou. Lou stands apart from everybody else, and whenever someone tries to talk to her, she shoots them down. The next day, Marianne babysits at Watson's. Again, the Papadakis come over. I hope Marianne is getting paid extra for watching so many kids. Lou complains the Papadakis have too many rules, and she tries running away to the park. Marianne calls at her to stop, but Lou doesn't listen. She keeps going. So Marianne is forced to chase after Lou, yell at her, and drag her back to the yard. Worst kid ever! The idea is that Lou must be super awful because it takes a lot to make Marianne upset. Haha, no. Marianne breaks down crying in almost all of her books. Continuity! Kristy babysits the Papadakis, and things go fine until she checks their homework. Lou refuses to go along with this, so she hides in her room and sulks for a while. When she comes out, she calls Lenny a baby. That is so out of line, Kristy smashes the table and shouts, "Quiet!" I'm guessing the author was an only child. Calling someone a baby is not out-of-control behavior to someone like Kristy, who grew up with 3 brothers. Later that night, Lou lets down her barriers. Why is she angry all the time? Her mother walked out on her family, her father just died, and she was forcibly separated from her older brother. Whoa, that's pretty awful. Poor Lou. Instead of showing Lou sympathy, Kristy labels Lou as the worst kid ever. Kristy is a horrible babysitter. The girls have a sleepover at Kristy's house where they eat pizza, give each other makeovers, and get into a pillow fight. Hee hee. The next morning we get the cover scene where Lou throws the cat in a pillowcase and waves it in the air. The poor cat! Later, Lou blindfolds the dog and the dog smashes into everything. At no point did the adults in the house do anything to stop the animal abuse. I guess they didn't feel like parenting today. Dawn babysits. Lou teases the dog by throwing its ball into the toilet and flushing multiple times. Then Dawn cooks with the kids, and Lou throws food at Hanny. Dawn is so furious, she picks up Lou and throws her in her room. Lou breaks down crying because she misses her family, and Dawn realizes she's not the worst kid ever. She's the saddest kid ever. Kristy babysits next. This is the 7th time the babysitters have watched the Papadakis in this book. Why don't these people ever watch their own kids? Why did they get a foster kid when they're never home? The social worker calls, and she doesn't care that the parents are gone. She comes over with news. Lou and her brother are being adopted by their aunt and uncle. Hooray! Lou is upset. She goes on a rampage. She destroys almost everything and runs away. The social worker just stands there and does nothing the whole time. I'm starting to suspect this woman should not be working with children. The next chapter is Lou's goodbye party. She's still grumpy, but she's glad to be with her brother again. Her relatives are nice, and they bribe her with a new dog. We get told Lou is lucky. Most foster kids, and serious Babysitters Club book children, don't get happy endings like this. The babysitters get a ton of auction donations from famous people, including autographed shirts, movie props, and a baseball signed by the World Series winners. Whoa! Their donations easily beat out cookies, but you know what? The item that makes the most money that night is a coupon for 24 hours of free babysitting from the Babysitters Club. Cute ending, but I did the math. Over $100 for 24 hours is more than $4 per hour, which is more than the normal Babysitters Club rate. Whoever bought that item was ripped off. The end. Post-book follow-up. Lou will return in book 116, Abby and the Best Kid Ever. Abby? There's no Abby in the Babysitters. Oh. I feel like the celebrity gives out free items ending is a bad idea. Not only is it unrealistic, but we know Anne Martin was buried in fan mail. Now all the kids are going to write to her and ask for free autographed copies of her books. Poor Anne Martin. I think this book's main problem is inconsistency. Lou does some truly bad things, but she also does some mostly harmless things, which the book insists are just as bad when they're not. And when the babysitters learn Lou's father just died, they double down on calling her a problem child. They should have switched to being nice to her, because the way it is now, they come across as jerks who badmouth the girl because her father just died. There are some smaller things I can nitpick, like Marianne not being entirely sure how Lou's nickname works. 3 of Marianne's friends are Anastasia, Jessica, and Kristen. Marianne knows how nicknames work. Claudia was such a space cadet in this book. She stared at her food and talked for multiple paragraphs about the texture. Weird. And finally, when Lou first shows up at Kristy's, Emily Michelle cries for Balal. Kristy fusses around for a bit, and Lou explains Balal means bottle. Lou's a random girl who's known Emily Michelle for less than 10 minutes, but she still knows Emily better than Kristy, master babysitter. That's really bad considering Emily is Kristy's sister. Overall, I found this book to be below average. The auction subplot was bad. You cannot stretch out waiting to get a piece of mail into 4 chapters and expect it to be interesting. The story with Lou is just okay. I preferred the other books that deal with reforming problem kids, but I will give this one credit for trying to address deeper issues of parental death. I give Babysitters Club number 62, Kristy and the Worst Kid Ever, a 4 out of 10.